Hi, and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we will see few examples of creating interfaces. First of all, we will create an interface and then we will create a class which will use that interface. So we will create our first interface file. Let it be interface printable. Now, here within this interface, what we will do, we will declare data member and method over there. Now, first of all, we will declare a data member and we will assign certain value to it. Now, suppose if I do not assign any value to this data member, I will get an error over there. Now, the reason for that is we know that all the data members within an interface by default are public, static, and final, and it is mandatory to initialize a final variable. So, we cannot leave it uninitialized. We need to initialize it for sure. Now, second thing that we are going to do is here we are going to declare a method. So let's say if I declare void print. Now again here we need not to add any keyword abstract because by default all the methods of an interface are public and abstract. Now we will create a class which will implement this interface. So let's create a class file. Let it be class test. Here we need main method. Okay. Now what we are going to do, we are going to add here implements printable. Now here we are getting error for class test because now our class is implementing an interface, and whenever a class implements any interface, it needs to override all the abstract methods of that interface, or else what can be done, class can be declared as abstract. Now we will select first option, that is we are going to add unimplemented methods. Now we have here public void print. Public will be there because by default the method in our interface is of public type, and whenever a method is overridden, its accessibility cannot be reduced. So it will remain here public only. Now let's add a message over here. Suppose we give hello over here. Okay. Now how to access this method? This method has been defined in our class test, okay, and we need to access this method in main method. Now as we know that main is a static method and a static method cannot access non-static method directly. For that what we need to do is we need to create instance of our class and then we can access the non-static methods. So first of all we will instantiate our test class and then we will invoke the print method. Let's say test t equals new test. Oh, sorry. Okay. Now we will invoke the print method t dot print. Fine. Now if I will execute this code, the output displayed will be hello over here. So this is how we can use a method from an interface. Now suppose if I have to access this data member in my class. Now how we can access it? We know that by default this data member is of static type because all data members are public, static and final. So if I have to access that data member in print method, what I can do is I can directly access it because a non-static method can have access to both static members as well as non-static members directly. So what I can do is I can just display the value over here, data. Okay. Let's execute it. Now it will display hello message and the value of data which is equivalent to 50. Okay. Now suppose instead of this, I need this to be done in main method. Now here again I will use the same code. Why? Because main is static and this data member itself by default is of static type. So static method can access static member directly over there. So no instance, nothing required. Let's execute it and validate the output. Again hello and data 50. So this is how a class can implement an interface. Now what we are going to do, we are going to create one more interface and we will see how a class can implement more than one interface. So we will create one more interface file. Let's say showable. Okay. Now here we will add one abstract method show and we will save our file. Now getting back to our class test. Now what I want is this class test should implement printable interface as well as showable interface. So that we can do by just separating two interface names by comma. So here we can give showable. Okay. Now again we are getting an error for our class. Why? Because now this class test needs to override the abstract methods of showable interface as well. So what we need to do, we need to add unimplemented method, which is show in our case. Now here again we can add a message. Let's say how are you? Okay. Now when I have to invoke show method, again what I need is I need the instance, because show method again is of non-static type. So with the same instance we can call both the methods. Suppose after calling t.print I need to call show method. So here I can give t.show. So now when we will execute our code, we will get first print method invoked, then show method, and then we will get the value of data over there. Fine, let's execute this. Now this is the hello message which we are getting from the print method. Then we have how are you, which we are getting from show, and then here we are accessing the value of data. Now let's suppose if I have one data member in showable as well. Let's say it is again data and its value is 40 over here. Now class test can have access to data member of showable as well as data member of printable. Now when you will return back to your class, here you will see that you are getting the error where you are trying to access data. Why? Because this is an ambiguous condition. Here compiler cannot determine from where to access data, from printable or from showable. So whenever we have common data members in the interfaces used by the same class, what we need to do is we need to remove this ambiguity. And how we can remove this ambiguity? By specifying the name of interface along with the data member. Since this is of static type, so it can be accessed directly with the name of interface. Let's say if I have to access data member of printable, so what we will give over here? Printable.data. Okay. Similarly, if I have to access data member from showable, so what we will give? We will give their showable.data. Okay. Let me change this. Let it be showable. Fine. Data from printable. And here we will add data from showable. Fine. So now when we will execute our code, the first value for data which will be displayed, that is going to be 50, because data in printable has value 50. The second value which will be displayed will be data equals to 40 over there. Let's save our file and execute it. So here we are. We have hello message, how are you message from show method, and then data from printable is 50 and data from showable is 40. So this is how we can have common data members and we can access. Now let's suppose the second case where we have common methods. In showable method, we are going to declare a method print here. Okay, that is we have print method in printable interface as well as in showable. Here we have print method, in showable again we have print method. Now when I return back to this class test, here we are not getting any error. Why? The reason for that is because this class already has a method with the given signature. That is, already here we have public void print, which is the signature given in this showable. So in this case we need not to override the method print again, because a class can have a method with the same signature only once. It cannot be defined again over there. So in case of common declarations of methods, like here we have void print, here again we have void print, a class needs to override that method only once. Now in next tutorial we will see the default and static methods in interface which were introduced in JDK 1.8. Thank you for watching this tutorial.